to the Shared Practices podcast. You guys, I am so excited for the guests that I have with us today. I have Max Dempsey joining us, and she and I have been coaching together for about 5 years now. And it's really exciting to have her on because she's going to bring a team member perspective, and she has been through so many changes in the practice that she has helped run. And so I'm excited for you all to hear her story, hear where she is today, and kind of just get this unique insight into what a really high value team member might be thinking as you are making changes in your practice. And for those of you who might have listened in the past, we've had Dr. Jaspreet Parmar on and talked about his journey through acquiring his first practice and then growing to a group practice. He's fee for service. He's also a prosthodontist, and she is his office manager. And so, if you're familiar with his story, this is kind of adding a different lens for you to view it through. So, welcome on, Max.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everyone. As Caitlin said, I'm Max. I am the office manager of two practices. I've been with Dr. Parmar 5 years. I was with the previous practice when he came and actually took over ownership. So I have a lot of insight, um, and I've been able to have some good coaching from Caitlin as well to help my growth in the practice as well. So
Yeah, we've definitely learned from each other. You have such an extensive background in dentistry. So take us all the way back to the start with this practice and how you got to where you are today.
my journey in dentistry actually started 29 years ago. That's hard for me to reflect on because I feel like it hasn't been that long. I have truly, truly enjoyed the journey. It feels like I've just been in dentistry maybe 10 years. Um, as I said, it started 29 years ago. I went into a specialty after I got my certification, TMJ, for 11 years. And then I transferred to general dentistry. Um, and that's where I've been since. I've always had the desire to learn every aspect of the practice, even from maintaining the equipment to learning the front, just all hands in for me. Kind of the can do mindset. Um, if I can't do it, I'm going to figure it out. And I think that's how I kind of eventually stepped into a leadership role.
And you spent the majority of the beginning of your career as an assistant. Is that
I
right?
have. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I loved about our journey together was when we were at the place with the first practice that we were going to start doing a build out, bringing on an associate, and officially needing an office manager, there was no doubt in Dr. P's mind of who it was going to be. But it's more common that I'm taking a front office person and training them to grow into that leadership role, and they're maybe having to step outside their comfort zone to learn some of the back office dynamics and relate to dental assistant operations. In your case, you were our rockstar lead dental assistant for so long. And so, in order for you to transition into office management, it was you stepping in and learning the front. So, tell us about that.
So I think actually that transition wasn't the hardest because I knew scheduling. I knew the needs of the dentist, of the team. I knew how to treatment plan. Um, so I feel that aspect of it was an easier transition for me. Um, it was more leading the team, financial communication, insurance, billing. Um, those were a little more complex.
How did you learn those things?
Coaching. Caitlin,
Okay.
as you know, you've helped me along the way, and just getting involved, calling the insurance
Yeah.
company, asking questions. Yeah, sure, I fumbled, but I learned. It's just part of the process.
I always say that dental assistants make fantastic treatment coordinators because of everything that you just described. And I think it's a unique opportunity that you had where you had already earned the respect of the assistants and the hygiene team. You spoke their language. And so all you had to do was kind of fill in the gaps where you didn't know in terms of billing and revenue cycle and all of that. And very quickly you learned the front office dynamics and what it takes to be organized step there. So it's been cool to watch you grow. And I think in the beginning, you had some imposter syndrome about stepping outside of the clinical role.
Absolutely.
Maybe you still do, but that's because you're humble and you're always learning. So um, one of the biggest topics on this podcast is how do we meet the team? How do we get the team to like us and trust us? And that day one and that month one when someone's coming in to practice ownership. So, talk to us a little bit from your perspective, the history you had with the previous owner, and just kind of walk us through going back to when Dr. Parmar acquired the first practice.
Yeah. Um, I was the lead assistant with the previous owner as well. I had gone through several transition with the previous owner for his ownership that just didn't play out well. Um, I think Dr. Vermeer might have been the third one. So there was a lot of uncertainty. Um, there was a lot of talk, a lot of like, oh, he's not going to keep you. Um, the unknown. Um, And it was to the point where I even went for, like, interviews elsewhere because I just did not know. However, once Dr. Parmar came in, it was a game-changing moment for the team. Um, we didn't have core values. We didn't hire on the perfect fit, the culture, we didn't do any of that, and I remember one of our first meetings with him. He took us out to eat, and we thought, "Oh, this is awesome. We're gonna get to know him and his family." No, he had a game plan. We were going to build the core values. So he actually took us to a restaurant, we ate, and then we had homework to do as a group within the restaurant. So, um, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was a good feeling at that moment. We knew that we were heading in the right direction. We knew that we were refocusing, rebuilding, and we were going to find the culture that we wanted and the patient care that was needed, that the practice was lacking at that time.
Yeah, and sometimes I think new owners are afraid to do too much too soon, and it's good to be cautious. But this really speaks to what I usually say is team members are craving somebody to come in with a plan. Team members are craving leadership. They want to do well for you and they need to know what that looks like. They want to understand your vision for the culture. They want to talk to you about, their experience so far. But if you can show them that organizational approach early on, and I think going out to eat is great, getting out of the office early on, just bonding, but also making it productive, you immediately gained respect for him as, okay, he's organized and he's got a vision going forward, which is something we're craving.
Right. Something we needed. Patients,
Mhm.
team members, all of us. Yeah.
So go back to those initial couple of weeks when he was first practicing and patients were meeting him and you were figuring out his scheduling dynamics. What were some of the challenges back then?
I think with him being a pros and stepping into a general practice, we had to learn his way. He's particular. Um, things had to be done a certain way in order for the patient to receive the best care. We had to learn that. We had to learn communication amongst the team members and with the patients. The whole dynamic shift. It wasn't hard to have the patients accept him. That was pretty easy. He's pretty personable. He could get in there and talk with anyone. So it was just more of learning his technique and the culture shift as a team. For the ones that are still here, he still has some of us that are here. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's fantastic. Were there patients who were nervous to meet a new dentist, kind of giving you pushback about that? Did you have to practice verbiage with the team about how to introduce him?
Absolutely. So yeah. So of course, everyone wanted to see the previous owner still. So that was one of the things that we had to convince that Dr. Yano's stepping out, stepping down. Dr. Permar is now here. Um, I don't feel I struggled with that as much because I had been here for many years with the team or with the patients. So I think they trusted in the team members. So I think
Uh-huh.
that helped.
Mhm.
Um,
And that's why we talk about the goodwill being so important not only to transfer over with the patient base when you practice or, acquire a practice, but we want to maintain relationships and goodwill with the team as much as possible. That's always our approach. Like you mentioned, there was rumors of, well, he might not keep you, and that's our worst case scenario, that a team is in the unknown and going, oh, are we all going to get fired? From our perspective, we never want to come in guns blazing and removing quality team members. It's like that's why we really want to take our time with getting to know everyone, getting that trust built up, because you just touched on something so key with maintaining patient goodwill, which is the retiring dentist, the selling dentist is leaving, but guess who's not leaving? Hopefully, it's the anchors that they've seen forever. They were attached to the previous doctor, but it was you who have, like, gotten them seated for their toothaches over the last 10 years, and it's you that they know and they trust, and maybe same with the hygienist. We have one hygienist still, from that initial time too. So, it's just those familiar faces, and that's not to say that, when push comes to shove, if the familiar faces aren't going to work out long term for what the practice needs, we have to make a hard decision, but it's so wonderful when you can have at least 1 or 2 that are ready to make that transition, can fit into the new era, but also provide that familiarity for the existing patient base.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One of the things that we touched on last time we had Dr. Parmar on was the challenges of a fee for service office, and how much he has scaled that, even without any insurance relationships whatsoever. And now we went into a multi-practice setting where we've got some minimal insurance participation, but at this primary location, we've always been fee for service. From your perspective, what are the top challenges with that?
It's the verbiage, in network. How do you say that to a patient without chasing the patient away? So if a patient calls our office, we say we're out of network. It's hard because what you don't want to do is have them not schedule. So from the first impression, it has to be the wow factor. Um, we will do the legwork for them. We try to do everything on our end as much as possible, calling the insurance, confirming eligibility, things like that. It's just the wow factor is the most important thing for us.
And I would imagine as a manager, training team to perform at that high level and maintaining quality team members that are going to practice that proper verbiage, that spins it in a positive way, and then actually follow up
Mhm.
with the service. What have you seen with turnover and training?
It's probably been the most challenging thing for the team members. It's hard. Every phone call is different. Every personality is different. So I think the team that we have now, they're great at it. We have ways to go back and listen to phone calls. They've really embraced it, and they're doing great. Um, I think it is hard. It's hard to teach a team to use this verbiage. It's very hard. We've had multiple uh, times where we role played with you, Caitlin, with the team, and you called the office, and one at one point, Dr. Permar was the one to answer the phone, and it's a continuous growth learning curve for that. Like I said, it's not easy.
I'm thinking right now as I'm looking at the word fee for service. This I'm gonna go on a tangent, you guys. I think fee for service is this really attractive thing. It's like, we all wanna drop insurance, and how great would that be to just be fee for service? Agree, that's fantastic if we don't have to play the game of insurance, right? But keyword is service. The service has to be there for it to be worth it to your patients to continue to come and see you when there's an out of network dentist, or excuse me, an in network dentist right down the street. Maybe if you're more rural and you have less competition, that might not apply. But in these suburban and urban areas, I'm teaching these teams, and you and I are constantly working with the team to say, we don't have the luxury of the insurance participation. And so that means every phone call has to be a wow. And when you say We don't directly participate with that insurance company. However, I'll gladly take some information. I'll verify your benefits for you, and I'll follow up with an estimated copay for you for that first visit. We have found in previous trainings, what was happening is they were using our verbiage, but they weren't actually doing the follow-up legwork part of researching it properly, and so patients would come in with the unknown of the copay and be surprised, and so it's a constant beating of the drum quarterly of, are we minding our P's and Q's with this? Are we doing what we say we will? Because service is at the forefront of this type of operation. It just has to be.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think just to anyone listening, like I love kind of moving away from insurance when it makes sense, but I always want to keep that in mind that the training is going to be never ending, and the leadership needs to be in place. So, if Dr. Parmar were to do this on his own without an office manager like you, there would be a huge gap because he doesn't have the time to do the dentistry and the CEO stuff and then also do the constant training. And so I just think it's a prime example of we've worked really hard and it hasn't been easy. And we constantly have to go back to the basics and remind everyone what we're here to do. And core values, as you mentioned, matter more in a fee for service practice too. Like the patients can sense what type of environment this is. Is the team happy? Do we have a culture worth being here for? So I'm just really proud of it's not an overnight thing. There's a reason we've been doing this for 5 years. Is there's constantly things that come up, but we've chosen our problem, right? Because on the other side, the problem you'd be dealing with is, playing the game of insurance and all the write-offs and everything that comes with that we heckle about too.
With that being said, I want to touch on the reviews. Majority of our reviews are from the time they meet the girls up front to the on the way out. The hygienist, the assistant, it's the team. It's not just about the provider, the dentistry. It's they felt like family. Mr. Jones, we knew him as soon as he walked in the door. Um, it was the wow factor from the start to finish.
Absolutely, and the reviews are so important, and having that turned on where you're constantly asking for those reviews because, again, insurance relationships are part of your marketing. You're prevalent on those insurance websites. So when you don't have that, Google needs to be your best friend, and that's important that you're showing up as 5 stars there. So,
Right.
good point there. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about dental assistant operations while I have you on, just because you are such an expert in how to run a day smoothly and how to organize yourself in a way that helps work in same day treatment, helps be as efficient as possible. You're very patient focused. And we don't get to hear from dental assistants very often on here. And so, for anyone listening that's wanting to train a dental assistant lead or, just kind of looking for leadership in that role, what are the key things that you look for in dental assistant leadership? And do you have any tips and tricks for us in that department?
Um, so for me, it's something you taught me, Caitlin. The three things.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have the capacity? I use that across the board. Um,
Okay.
so, are they eager to learn? Do they want to learn? Are they there trying to learn it? Um, do they want it? Like, do they want it? As far as the capacity, are they able to do it with the guidance and the proper training moving forward? Um, you're seeing growth. You're not seeing them go backwards. So I go off of the three things.
Okay, I love it. The reason I'm shocked is I've never been a dental assistant a day in my life. I've sat in on many exams, I've taken notes, I've done perio charting, but I just would not be your ideal assistant, Max. You would let me go day one if I tried to be a dental assistant for you. So, on that note, when we're talking about capacity to be more on the clinical side and a dental assistant rather than working in the front. What do we need for that? I imagine like attention to detail.
Attention to detail,
Okay.
follow through, able to multitask. As we know, dental assistants, not just that patient that's in front of you. There's a lot going on around that. There's chart notes, there's lab follow-ups, there's ordering, there's a lot to go, there's a lot involved in the day. So there is a dental assistant.
Let's switch gears a little bit here into growing into multi-practice. Take me back to when Dr. Parmar came to you with this idea and, just walk us through how we grew to having this second location.
So once again, I'm gonna go back to my can-do mindset. Um, when he approached me, I was like, "Let's do it. We can totally do it. We have systems in place. The systems work here. We know we can move the systems to the second practice." I didn't realize, Caitlin, when he took over in the Lakeland practice ownership, him and Amita, his wife, they put all the systems in place prior to really me stepping into a leadership role. So it's both challenging and rewarding for me. I work in the Lakeland office, but when I go to the other office, I feel like I'm working on that office because we are
Yeah.
developing systems. We are putting systems in place. We are trying to find leadership within our team members. Um, Also guiding the team. Um, there's just so much that's not in place that was in place for me when I stepped up to the leadership.
And there's benefits to it because you get to do it your way and they immediately see you kind of developing these and you're the go-to versus him necessarily. Whereas, in the first practice, it was switching from everyone goes to him to everyone goes to you. Right off the bat, the team knows that you are a go-to for so many of these things, but they're kind of watching you work these systems out in real time and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't,
Right,
right?
right, right.
Yeah. And so, from an organizational perspective, has it been challenging managing 2 practices and trying to be in 2 places at once?
It has, but it hasn't. So I don't feel like being at 2 places at once is challenging, because we have a great team around us. We really do. For the second practice, I haven't been there for 15, 20 years. I don't know the patients. I'm stepping into a new world. They're coming into our world and they're like, "Who are you?" So it's building that relationship, that trust with the patient. Um, that's what's been challenging. Even though we're great at it, it's getting that patient to accept us, getting the team members to believe in the way we do things and the way we want things done. Um, that's probably been the most challenging. So
And it's that classic question of, like, can you scale it?
yeah.
You've done it once, you've done this really well. It's not gonna be copy and
Right.
paste, so do we have enough of the bones and the ingredients to go and take this and do it all over again?
And we do.
Yeah.
Like I said, him and I make a great team. Um, the team that we have, they believe in us. It's getting there. It's gonna be great.
Mhm. And I think, we're hearing you say our team that surrounds us, our team that surrounds us, make no mistake, we have turnover, on these teams, and sometimes turnover is necessary. The reason that we are able to say we have a great team is because we're very selective and kind of willing to write it out and not be desperate. And so, sometimes we have gaps on the team until we can find the right person. Has that been your approach more and more as you've had to fill different seats?
Yeah, I think in the second practice, I've been looking for a patient care coordinator up front for probably about a month now. And I'm very selective. They have to be the right fit. I say this and I truly mean it. Yes, we hire on the skills, but I hire more in the personality. It has to be the right fit.
Yeah, and you have that benefit of being able to do that because between the systems you've put in place and the knowledge that you have, you're able to train just about anyone that has that desire, they want it, they have the capacity, they just need the knowledge, filled in and the training. So, that's the luxury of strong leadership is you can be more picky. You're not so reliant on experienced dental. You can bring someone in who's a little bit more green in certain positions and grow them to be what you need them to be.
Exactly.
You said something along the lines of you and Dr. Parmar make a great team, and you've always said that, and I've always felt that the 2 of you are aligned, and that's not to say that the 3 of us don't talk through, different perspectives, and it's not like every day is absolutely perfect, But at the end of the day, I think the 2 of you are a great example of an owner and a manager aligning on the vision, seeing the big picture together, knowing where we're trying to go, and so that's our North Star, with every challenge that comes our way. One of the things that I think would be most beneficial for our listeners to hear, because I think if they're an owner dentist or looking to be an owner dentist one day, they want their office manager to say these same things, so what can they do? Maybe give us a few things that have really stood out, that have made the difference for you, and so to where you can sit here today and say, "We make a great team. I'm happy to be here, and I'm staying here."
I think for me, he believes in me. Sure, I stumble. I have stumbled trying to learn my leadership role. Caitlin, you know that as well. You've helped me with some coaching on verbiage and how to say things with a little softer approach. But he never shows that in front of anyone. If there's something we need to touch on, it's privately done. Um, but the believing in me and allowing me to take on the practice and knowing that it's in great hands. I think that alone helps with growth more than anything.
You touched on 2 things. One I'm hearing is that united front in front of the team. Any of my clients listening know I talk about this all the time when we're elevating office managers, and it's so true, is in front of the team, you are one unit. They are looking to you 2 to see that you're aligned, and then in private, if we need to disagree or have corrective conversations and vice versa, you're giving him that same respect, in that when a team member is frustrated about something or doesn't understand or whatever the case may be, you are going to say, like, "We decided that this is the approach we're going to take. Let me show you this," as opposed to, "Well, that's the way Dr. P wants it. Sorry." So it's that united approach, and it goes both ways. And so I think that's really powerful, and it's not easy. It's there's constantly conflict. We're human beings, and so it's keeping that in the forefront of our mind. And then, second, it's the belief in you, and it's the delegating, right? I mean, we can get on here and we can say, "I want to delegate to my office manager. I need less on my plate. I can't be the CEO, the dentist, all the things. Like, I need this person's help with HR," or whatever the case is, right? But we have to actually let them do it. And that means the follow through has to be there on their end. And we may stumble and we may fall. But
Correct.
you have to actually trust and let go of some of these tasks, and so now you're in a place where you actually know that the trust is there and you have the autonomy.
Right.
You can make executive decisions. Like, one of the things I hear, from owners is, "This can't get handled without me." Like, they're always texting me or asking me, "What should we do?" And I think it's taken a lot of time, but you've gotten to a place with him where you can kinda read his mind in certain scenarios, and you have faith in yourself to go ahead and make that executive decision without running it by him, which takes so much off of his mental load, especially running 2 practices.
I prefer to make the decision without going through him, um, because when he's here, I need him here clinically. Like, so I don't want him involved in any admin, office manager, stuff like that at all. It did take time. It didn't come overnight, Caitlin. I think maybe it took a good year for him to fully let me, okay, Max, I know
Mhm.
you have it. I know you have the best interests of the practice, the patients involving him. And he let go. And I think that's when we actually grew together the most.
And I'm even thinking more recently, he was out of the country, and there was a little bit of a dilemma with the new team and a hygienist that was on their way out, and, you called me, and you and I handled it, and he heard about it when he got back, and I thought that was awesome. Just like a testament to how far we've
But
come.
just so you know, I role played the whole way to the second office in my car. So,
Well, yeah, but you didn't pick up the phone and call him, and
no.
and obviously you could've, but you had it,
Yeah.
it takes time to get there, but this is, if you can practice that delegation and giving that trust to the right
Mhm.
person, that's how you get to a place in ownership where you do feel like you can go on vacation, and truly the office will run without you.
Right. Right. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So
So, just kind of like as we start to wrap up, what has been the difference in this second location? Like we kind of touched on insurance participation, and this is a little bit of a different scenario, right? We've limited how much insurance we participate with. The previous owner was in network with more, but for the first time, you are learning the dynamics of being partially in network, right? So, what have been the main challenges on the other side that you've seen?
it goes down to verbiage. Verbiage with the patients. I'm sorry, we're now out of network with your insurance company, and trying to use the same system that we have in our first practice with those patients that have been going there for 30 years. That's not easy. Um, and we don't wanna lose the patients. So it's a matter of, once again, the verbiage on trying to get the patient to stay, allowing us to submit the insurance for them as at a network. Not only that, the ones that have been there for 40 years, it's hard for them to come in and see a new provider. So it's been the insurance and just us being new, and we have lost team members that were there 30 plus years. And that is very hard for the patients. They don't see familiar faces, so that's been challenging as well. Um, and like I said, just getting the team to buy in, to know who we are, what we stand for, what we want.
And with all that said, I just kind of wanna let everybody know that, this practice has been open underneath you guys for less than a year. And nonetheless, despite losing patients, losing anchor team members, all of the funny business that has gone on with the patient base and everything, we've grown.
We have, we
Grown
have,
production, we've grown the new patient flow is turning around, the basics are there, the foundation of how we know how to acquire and grow a dental practice and really focus on the hygiene department. We're just kind of doing those core things of
exactly,
filling hygiene and if turnover happens until we get the right team in place that is going to, follow our standard of care with perio and fluoride and reappointing with value.
right,
It really just goes back to those core basics of expand the hygiene department, focus on reactivation, focus on new patient flow, retention, 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 and just stick to who we are. And yeah, we may lose some patients, we may lose some team members, but the end of the day, the trajectory is going in the right direction despite those challenges you guys have faced, which is just encouraging to see.
very much so. So I think 2 days ago, Dr. P and I were just talking about how where the practices come from in that short period of time. I think it's been 9 months, maybe 10. If that, I don't even know if it's been 10 months. Uh, but it's a great feeling to sit back and just smile. It really is. It's rewarding.
And we've got so far to go with how much you're both such go-getters, but 9 months in to be kinda going, "Wow, we're already really proud." I'm not surprised whatsoever, just because I think you 2 really focus on the right things and cut out the noise. Um, and like, I just wanna keep hitting on, you are not without your challenges. Every coaching call, there's a laundry list of whether it is team or it's patients or it's both or it's systems or schedule. Um, it has not been easy, but it's the things that we really focus on at the core that carry us on to the next issue, and we always have problems, but the problems are always changing because we're solving the old ones and moving forward, and that's how we know we're growing, so
Right. I think it just comes down to the core values. Everything we do within our practices, it's based on the core values.
So once you establish those core values, how do you make sure that they're actually put into place and like people are referencing them and able to tell you what they are? Like a lot of my teams, they set them and forget them.
So it's one thing we don't. We have team meetings. It is on our agenda every team meeting. We have them hanging on the wall in the office as well, where we have our morning huddle. If there's a situation comes up, we'll ask the team member, "What's one of our core values?" And we always reference it back to that, and we find a solution. So that's something. Oh, we even do evaluations based on the core values. How do you rate yourself as team first?
I was gonna bring that up that, the doctor had mentioned to me you had taken kind of the original shared practices performance evaluation and did some editing, as I always want everyone to customize it, and you added your core values to it, right? Talk to me about that because I loved what you did there.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Actually, it was he thought of it, so I said, "No problem, I'll change it." And so we recently rolled it out. I think we're going on our 2nd month, and so attention to detail is one of our core values. There's a lot of times we think we have the attention to details, but it's still little things you just forget sometimes, including myself, Caitlin. Um, so I think the team really likes that part of the evaluation because that's once again what we base a lot of things on in our practice. So that also helps them to remember the core values, to stand up to the core values.
And doctor had mentioned to me what he loved about it was you guys were kind of struggling where sometimes you'd meet with a team member and they were knocking it out of the park with everything that was on that initial piece of paper in terms of just like job expectations, the fundamentals of whatever role it is they're here to fulfill, but you were seeing gaps in more of the day-to-day, the interpersonal, the just the culture-based stuff, and so it was like there was nowhere to kinda navigate that conversation of, "Hey, this is all going really well, you have the capacity for your role, however, we're struggling with, this more team first approach sometime, and so that helps you navigate into that conversation of, "Hey, before you leave at the end of the day, make sure we're checking in with everyone. Is there anything else you need from me?" Like, it's that kind of stuff that you need to be prompted for. It's hard to kind of give that feedback sometimes when it is more social,
Mm.
you know?
And we even try to drill it into our associates because it's important for them to believe in it as well. Um, as you said, there's always issues. There's sometimes we have people leaving and they don't say bye. Well, that upsets the team. Hey, just say bye. Go buy a room. You know, just say goodnight.
And we don't necessarily know that. We can't read your mind as a team member that that's offensive, and so as leaders, we owe it to them to tell them, "Hey, when you leave without saying goodbye, that's making a negative impression on your team." And I bet some of them are going, "I didn't even think of that. I just was
Exactly.
not wanting to bother them," you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
team first.
On a side note, from a communication style perspective, I think everyone can learn from you in how often you say my name back to me. Like, throughout this episode, you've said something, something, Caitlin, multiple times. This is something we teach with the new patient phone call. We say, try to use their name back to them. That like humans love the sound of their own name and it makes them feel heard, like you're actively listening and you're in a very active rapport building conversation with them. And that's something you have always done so well, far better than I do. I haven't said your name back to you once this entire episode. So, I just wanna point this out that you all kind of hear this in how polished that sounds, and the same way you're speaking to me, the way that comes off so naturally is because you say that in everyday conversation, that's how you talk to your team, and that's how you talk to the patients, and that's why you've been such an anchor in both of those different buckets. So, I just wanna point out that
Thank
that really strong communication skill that you have. How'd you learn that? Has it just been natural to you?
It's natural because I'm an eye to eye, knee to knee kind of person. Um,
Mhm.
and that's just how I've always just addressed someone
Mhm.
as well. So
Yeah. It
that's
really
huge.
builds trust. Yeah, it's huge. It builds so much rapport. I'm sure you've broken down a lot of walls in your career. Patients coming in with fear and anxiety and team being frustrated. It's just that eye to eye and using their name and connecting as a human.
Yeah.
You can get so much accomplished just by focusing on the communication
Yeah.
style.
So I had a little bit of a breakdown in the second office with a patient that was there for 20 something years and he wanted to leave because the culture was different and I kind of just was like, tell me about it, and I addressed him by his name. I eye to eye with him. I sat down next to him. Um, he ended up staying with the practice. Ended up being we've seen him twice in the 9 months that we've been part of the practice. And each time he'll high five me or fist bump me. Um, so I
Mhm.
think just being humble.
And he felt heard by you, and you cared enough to try to retain him as a patient and talk to him face to face about his concerns, and now it's like, "Okay, this is someone new on this team that I have as an ally in this practice, and my trust is being built up with this new
Right,
team,"
right.
which is amazing. Yeah, and it goes back to service.
Exactly, and that's one thing he said, he's like, "You address me by my name."
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's huge.
yeah,
Something so I say, I'm learning from you all the time too, because that's just one thing I wanna do better at, and I just don't think to do it, and, it's also when you meet people and you shake their hands, trying to really commit their name to your memory,
absolutely.
but I'll still second guess myself of, "Do I know that? I think I do, and I usually do," but you don't wanna get the wrong name,
Right.
so it's
Good
practice.
thing is the teeth helped me. I memorized the teeth, so that's great. Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's the assistant in you
right,
that I don't have that
right.
benefit, yeah,
That's the
amazing.
system part, exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Well, Max, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and kinda stepping out of your comfort zone to come on with me and just talk about your journey through practice leadership and management. I know that you have so much to offer everyone listening, and, if anyone has questions for Max, you can shoot me an email and I'll get them to her. That's caitlin@sharedpractices.com. Max, any final words?
no, that's it. Thank you for having me. This is my first, podcast, so a little nervous, guys, but yeah, let me know if you need anything. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time on the Shared Practices podcast.
Thank you.
Resonate.